Hey guys, well, I'm here with Marcus, the creator of Affiliate Marketing Dude YouTube channel. Amazing stuff. We have a really, truly amazing story for you today. Josh Sloan, our COO, is also here. So we're just going to have Marcus go through what he's actually built with content at scale straight out of AI. And where I'd love for you to start, Marcus, is what you were actually doing. You were just telling us, what was it? Stupid amounts of money for a human process, starting with Rev. And you were able to ditch that entire process and completely use the content at scale AI. So walk us through that. How did it all start? What were you doing? What are you doing now?
I have an agency where we build sites for people. We help them, get rankings and everything like that. And up until now, we started that service maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and we would use a human-generated content service, which I think towards the end, they were using a lot of AI. I mean, it started to look that way. And over the 2 or 3 years, I would say we probably spent 100, maybe 150,000 on content. And, it was 1,000 words here, 1,500 there, nothing super big and nothing really impressive. Now, because of the way that we did our keyword research and our domain names, the content ranked because, if you have the right keyword, the content doesn't need to be that good. It just needs to be focused. And so we were doing that. It was working well, obviously. And then when I found content at scale, I was reluctant. I was like, there's no way this is going to take human writers. People are crazy. I saw Terminator. I didn't want to support that. And so I looked at it and I'm like, okay, maybe we'll give the robots a try. And I started it out. I got some content and I was like, okay, well, 4,000 words, 3,800 words for a fraction of what I would pay at a different site. I think I was looking at like iWriter, Higher Writers, which 1,000 word articles, $5 at the base level. We'd usually pay around 20. And then iWriter was the same kind of thing where it was like, you're paying 8 cents per word, which adds up. The math there, what would that be? 320 for a big article or something, or 32 or something like that. I don't know. It's too early to do math. But at any rate, it was working well. And then I went to content at scale and I realized the structure was good. The output was fantastic. It expanded on things that I didn't normally know to expand on, and other writers didn't know to expand on. AI was able to figure that out. And then I started making the switch over on a couple of my websites. One of the first ones I did with content at scale was an SUV site. And so it was newsuv.org. And this one I set up, literally, it took, I think, 2 days from the time I put the content up to the time it actually ranked, which it was probably instant, but I'm going to say 2 days because I didn't check it instantly. So give it a little leeway there. But this one ranks for pretty competitive stuff in the SUV market. Because when you look at competition, even though this says 1 or 2, the SUV market, you're competing with Ford and TrueCar. There's big stuff. Like when you see Amazon there, that's a big competitor, even though it might say 0 competition. So this is one normally you wouldn't be able to get. Now, utilizing content at scale, it went through and I would just prompt it with worst SUVs to buy. The rest of it, it went through, it titled it, which I didn't have to come up with a title. I didn't have to come up with the table of contents and the links. We did add the images. I had someone add the images for me, but it actually did really well. And these sites are getting traffic. And so I was reluctant at first. Then I looked at the output and I was like, okay, this is good. Is it something that I'd be like, write a cure for this medical ailment? Not in a million years. But when it comes to something like, does the Nissan Pathfinder work on sand? Yeah, that's going to be good. Or what are the best SUVs under 70,000? That kind of stuff it really excels at. And I find that, one, the speed has transformed our business. We used to have a lead time of delivering sites and content it was right around a month and a half. And now, from the time we get the domain to the time they have it with content is like 4 days. And it's only 4 days because it takes me a while to do my part. Everything else is pretty quick, which is good. Our customers are way happier. They're getting a much better product. And as you can see, it's ranking in the search engines. And I've done SEO since, I think the first SEO site I put up was April of 2000. That one was a cigar website, and it was the first one I saw ranked. So I've been doing SEO for a long time. And back in the old days of SEO, you would have gimmicks. And the gimmicks were like, oh, hey, here's this thing that's going to scrape content, you'll get ranked. And they worked. They made a lot of money until they didn't. And they didn't because it was skimpy content that was not focused on the end user. With something like Content at Scale, now you're getting something focused on what they want. And I would say the number one thing is to know what keyword to put in that box. And it's not just the keyword you think you want.
Wow. Marcus, you just dropped so much gold. Something that really sticks out to me, and I think this is the thing in the end, people care about. This is why there's going to be mass adoption to AI. You just described going from paying hundreds of dollars for one piece of content and it taking days upon days, maybe weeks, to you're paying what, $15 at the agency level for one piece using Content at Scale, infinitely cheaper. And then in minutes it's done. And then it takes you your time just to get it live. That's the new time taker. That's kind of mind blowing when you think about how different the leanness you can build in your actual business, because content used to be the bottleneck, as you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So now with AI, you've described a process where it is no longer the bottleneck. I think that's a key moment for me, seeing your process here, which is well defined. And I'd love to actually hand it over to Josh, our COO, to ask some questions about how you run this in your project section, because he's got all the tech know-how there. So Josh, I'll hand it to you. What else should we ask Marcus?
Yeah, Marcus, I was getting excited because I think so much of our stories are aligned there. I was actually just telling Julia, she can attest, about a site that was working until it wasn't, just like you described. It was ranking for 30th birthday, and then it just wasn't because those tactics and those things no longer worked. So the shift back then was, how do you get writing faster and faster? I used iWriter. I know you had it pulled up there for a second. I spent a lot of money on iWriter, and to get the content faster, the price doubled or even tripled on there. The problem is no longer getting content. It's finding content to write about. And you, as someone who creates dozens, if not hundreds of sites, the question I would have for you is, how do you quickly find those topics that are meaningful and that are going to rank and that your clients are going to be satisfied with?
I come from the affiliate marketing world, which I started in CPA affiliate marketing in 2003. The whole idea was I didn't care what keywords I went for as long as there's commercial intent. And we're going to talk about a website here in a minute, which I think I have my stickers here somewhere. These little guys. There we go. And this website made me over $2 million. And it was not a niche I was passionate about. It was not a niche I cared about. It was a niche I was so detached from that there was a slang term that people used in the niche. And me being, back then I was like 25, but even then, the internet's way ahead of me. And I was like, I didn't even get it. I was like, what does this mean? And I had to ask people what it meant. And it wasn't like a weird one. It was like, pimp my ride kind of thing. And I came from the world where it was like, yeah, that means something different where I come from. Doesn't mean make cool. And so it took me a while. But at any rate, I was so detached from that market, but I knew there was a way to make money. And it was all the people looking up MySpace stuff. And I was like, okay, I literally set up a site with skimpy content, and it was getting 10,000 visitors a day overnight. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to make money with this. And so I found ways to make money. And now my whole thinking is, what if I could find things that people search for? Because if you went into Ahrefs, I'm not going to do it because it will show risky stuff, because that's the nature of the internet sometimes. But if you did Keyword Explorer and you set your keyword difficulty to 1 and put nothing in the search box and hit search, you're going to see there's 40 million plus keywords with zero competition that you can write about. So that's step one, is I don't care what it is, as long as it is something I can make money with, something that I'm okay ethically with, because there's some markets that I'm like, no, I'm not going to touch that. That's not with my alignment. And so I look at that and I find, how can I make money on it? How can I go through and monetize it? And one of the ways that I do that and find niches is surprisingly through buying domain names. So it's funny, I started getting back into buying domain names in 2021. and big time. I mean, I had always bought them, but I just started going to town. I mean, I think we bought over $100,000 worth of domain names that year. And so I get this call from GoDaddy, and this guy's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" I'm like, "Good. What do you want? You know, am I locked out? What's going on?" And he's like, "Well, I just wanted to call you because you're one of our biggest buyers." And I'm like, "Me? Are you kidding?" And so what I would do is I would actually go to Spamzilla, and he calls me all the time now. Their support is fantastic. But what I would do is I would use a tool like Spamzilla, and I would look at GoDaddy auctions for sites that are on auction. And what this means is you can pick them up, and oftentimes they're super cheap. So like right here, I can see some kind of coaching site, history of America site, some kind of pixels. And sometimes what you'll find is very good sites that rank for all kinds of things. And there was a case study that was done in the SEO world of people who bought an expired domain. It was a restaurant, I believe, and they packed it with junk AI content. I mean, this was stuff straight out of ChatGPT that wasn't edited. There was no rhyme or reason. It was junk. But they ranked super fast. They made $820,000 in 1 month, and then the site got banned. I look at that and I'm like, okay, we don't want to do anything like that and get banned. But what if we could do that correct? What if I bought a restaurant website and talked about that type of food? That would work. Or what if I bought this history of America site, whatever that's about, and maybe talked about courses to be a history professor, or this one here for a TV thing, right? And this one I think is, what's that? A little bit expensive on that one, or something else. And that's how I found the new SUV site. I bought it, I think it was like $700, which was one of the higher ones. Usually I'll buy them for $50, $12, maybe $100. And what we're doing is we're looking for what ranks. So I would take a site straight from here, and I would say, okay, what does this Reviews Garage rank for? It's $17. Does it rank for something I want? Maybe it's got like garage floor reviews or whatever it is. So Reviews Garage Gaming. So this is a gaming site. And we look at this and I'm like, okay, so it's NVIDIA settings, speed fan not showing fans. I don't know why a speed fan, I'm not a gamer, so I don't understand any of this. But you would go through and say, well, maybe I can use this to sell new power supplies or new computers or whatever it is. And we're going to go through and build up the content based on what's already there. So one of the ones that I got recently was the Emoticon site. And this is one that I had made lots of money in this niche. And I came across this site, I bid on it, and I won. And within minutes of taking over this site, it started ranking with content at scale. And all I did, I mean, if you were to go into my content at scale, all we're doing is taking the keywords that the site already ranked for and just putting them in there one at a time. And then, you know, you put a little bit extra, like maybe talk about how the winking emoji is pertains to flirting, or this emoji means someone's sad, or this one means that. And we're building it up in a very simple way. And then all you have to do is monetize the traffic, and it's very fast. The bottleneck is gone. I mean, we actually have someone that's uploading the content and inputting it for us in here in content at scale. I was telling her, I'm like, well, let's do 2 a week. She's like, well, I could do like 5 a day. I go, okay, then do 5 a day, you know? So it's actually very easy, and it does a really, there we are. It does a really good job. So, I mean, look at this case study here, 20 articles. So literally I'm in it $300 for content, which is not much. Like literally I'm used to paying $300 a piece, $100 a piece, which means for most marketers, now you're out. You're out of the game. You can't compete. Because if I can go out there and spend more on content, then there's no way a little guy could get ahead. But now with something like content at scale, you can get ahead. And with these 20 articles, if you were to take a look at the traffic here for this site, I spelled it wrong, emoji edit. Here we go. Right, like this, 32,000 visitors a month. And look what happened. So we took it over, I think towards the end of July. We put most of the content up in the last 10 days. And it went, you know, it had its little dip, which auction domains always do that. And then it just bounced right back. And it's actually, I think it's actually doing better than when I took it over. And a lot of these keywords, like you could go through and see based on the position, because what I'll do is I'll take the content at scale, I'll make it as close to, let's see, what are we doing? We're doing volume. As close to the keyword as possible. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be better than you're probably going to get at a content house where humans are doing it. Because for some reason, AI gets things in these types of niches better. If you're talking about like depression or something, yeah, I probably want a human writer. But for something like this, you know, I'm going to go through and be like, well, hey, we're number 68 on blue emoji. And I don't even think I tried blue heart emoji. So I didn't even try for that one. So I would know now, go get a content at scale for that. You'll get a top 10, get some of that 33,000 visitors a month. And it works so fast and so simple, and it's on point. Like you look at this and it is about the blue heart emoji. It's not about other things.
So I noticed you said you work with a writer in there. We have a lot of people, especially in our community, who are interested in hiring what we call an AIO writer, so an AI optimizer, an AIO writer for their content. Can you tell us a little bit more about the day-to-day of, sort of prompting your writer to go in and create articles? What's the sort of handoff there from keyword to finished article?
Surprisingly, I have gotten completely hands-off, which is amazing because now I can focus on other things. And what we do is we are going to look at what the domain ranks for, and we're going to come up with a title and a keyword. So let's say we were going to do the tiny zone, or let's do maybe history of America. Okay, hopefully this doesn't have anything weird. Sometimes they do, but so we're going to go in here and say, okay, so it had 700 rankings. Okay, it had some traffic and it made $1 or something like that. And we're going to look at this and say, okay, right off the bat, this is people taking tests. That's what they're doing. This is someone that's like, when did the Mongols rule China? Right? I think that was that on Bill and Ted, and that's the thing. They're looking at taking a test, and that's what they're doing. And so we look at that. We're like, okay, I'm going to look at the volume. And so what she's going to do is she goes through and says, okay, what happened after Pearl Harbor? She's going to look at that and say, how do I turn that into a piece of content? And not just, hey, what happened? Because that's like a sentence. Like, what happened? Okay, well, a war broke out or whatever actually happened. And so we're going to go in and look at that and say, well, what's related to it? How do you adapt to it? And so she's going to make a title out of this. What happened after? So where content at scale says keyword, I'm actually using that a little bit more liberally. And what I'm doing is I'm putting the title, because if I have the right keyword and it's in the title, it's going to rank. So I don't need to worry about that. Like, I don't think there's like some magic ranking algorithm just by putting the keyword in there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt it in there and then the additional context. So I'm going to say, what happened after World War II and how did it relate to the invasion of this or whatever happened. Completely failed out of history school, so apologize for my not knowing that stuff. But we're going to put that in there. Emojis. What does the wink emoji mean? And does it mean she likes me? Or how do I know if she likes me or he likes me or whatever it is? And then I'm going to go through and utilize that. But what we're doing is we're literally just looking at what already ranked and trying to see it from a standpoint of, okay, what can I do with this? And how do I prompt the AI not just to go in the direction of this is that one thing, but even further. So another one we're doing, and we're actually doing this as a case study on my channel. If you were to look at the office over here, we have about, I think there's like 50 incense burner like statues. And we're doing that because I found this domain, myincenseholder.com. And so what I'm going to do with this is a new one. I have not done anything on it. I think it just dropped to my account a couple days ago. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the keywords and I'm going to look at my calendar and see what it ranked for over the last 90 days or maybe a year. And I'm gonna go through and build on that, because if I had a top 10, the chances of me getting a top 10 again are pretty much 100%, maybe 98 to be certain. But we're gonna look at this and say, okay, well, incense waterfall cones chart. Okay, that's one. I can go into content at scale and say, make me incense waterfall cones chart. Obviously, I'd set up a new channel or group or whatever. That way it's not, hey, incense waterfalls, check out Moji Edit Emoticon site. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to have it create this. And then within seconds, I can go to my writer and say, hey, go to ChatGPT or Bing. Actually, Bing has a fantastic image creator that came out a couple days ago. And I can say, make the chart. Boom, it'll make it in seconds. And adding to this stuff is where the key is, right? If I can add to it and be like, okay, well, content at scale is like 85% there. We're going to get the ranking. We're going to get the traffic. The only thing that it's not doing is the selling or the getting them into other things, which, I mean, that's pretty much all I'm good at. I'm not good at writing, so I'm good at that. And I can add that very quickly and very easily. And I mean, it works like crazy. And then I would just keep going down the list of, okay, what else do I want here? And is it worth it? 250 searches a month. Yeah, that's worth it. I can get an image for Pinterest. I can put that on my blog. I can make a YouTube video out of the content at scale gives me. Just go down the list, find other stuff I want, and build it up. And the reason it works is because of backlinks. A lot of these sites actually have backlinks from incense sites and spiritual sites and different things like that, which allows us to rank. And then when I do this, so this is one thing, if people are using this domain method, you don't want to pay attention to the URL that content at scale gives you, because what you want is the exact URL that ranked. So I'm going to
it increases the chances of getting that traffic back nearly immediately.
Yes.
Use the same URL. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you're doing a new site, definitely use the slugs that that content at scale gives you.
Yeah, better tailored to your keyword. So it's hands off for you. That's awesome. I'm sure that a lot of people in our community and people who are interested in content at scale will find that very, very valuable. I really don't have any other questions. I can pass it back to Julia, but man, Marcus, this is I've built niche and content sites not quite as long as you, but this has definitely been exciting for me to hear.
Yes, this is an amazing process. I think we almost got a masterclass, I feel like, because just watching how you work, how you think, how you dive into the data, the things you said, like, it's all about the keywords and it's all about the things that you target. And really the answer is in the data. So your approach really makes this successful. You're not shooting in the dark, you're not guessing, and you're not just trying to say, okay, well, let me try to get content at scale to write something. No, you have a very specific process and it gets you real output, real outcomes. So thank you so much for sharing this with our audience and the people that we have that definitely want to learn these strategies. Where can they follow you to keep learning from you?
They can go to Affiliate Marketing Dude. We got the sign there. Yeah, over there, if you just go there, there's all kinds of content. We talk about domains all the time. On my YouTube channel, we have 3 videos a week that go out. And what we're doing is case studies. So tomorrow, there's a gal coming in that I'm giving the incense business to, and we're just going to track the whole process and show how it works start to finish. And we do that all on the channel. And they can find me there. Amazing.
So I love your build in public approach. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. I'm sure that, we'll probably want to chat with you again, just saying. So we'll do more of these to come. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me.